Welcome back, everyone, to the Lost Pages, and we know it's been a minute, but we're back with episode 4 on a very, very important topic. And that is the topic of Nintendo Switch 2 releases for the Kingdom Hearts series, as my god, the Kingdom Hearts series is not playable on Nintendo consoles.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, technically, cloud versions are not real games. I can't believe that they charged as much money as they did, bro. It's crazy.
They're trash.
Yeah.
They're straight up trash. Like, genuinely, probably the worst Square Enix release I can remember.
It's
in
offensive.
Recent years.
It's actually offensive that they would do that, by the way. Like, I'm offended that they thought that I would spend money on that. Me. Like, there's people that bought it. They're like, oh, I gotta buy it. Like, why did we need to buy that?
No, it's crazy. It's crazy because it's like, it's not even like the games ran well. You know, if the games ran well,
yeah,
but you didn't own them, that's one thing. Dude, these games ran at like subpar frame rates. They had an input delay and latency like crazy, and they just weren't good experiences. Like, it was an insult to the Kingdom Hearts series and an insult to fans on Nintendo Switch. And, you know, I've been thinking about this a lot. I know you have too. We've just been talking about this. Like, with Square Enix going full in with the remake trilogy on Switch 2, I mean, I feel like it has to happen. Like, I want native ports of Kingdom Hearts. It's crazy that we don't have them, and I'm just simply not buying those trash cloud versions. I mean, I checked out the demo. They had like a little demo thing, I believe.
Yeah.
I checked that out. It was horrid. It was absolutely horrid.
Yeah, Square is doing their multi-platform strategy, which I really appreciate. You know, I think one of the most damaging things that they did was keeping 7 Remake like exclusive to the PlayStation platform. And while the PlayStation platform does have a whole lot of people that own it, it does not have the adoption, I don't want to say adoption rate. It doesn't have the attach rate that the Nintendo Switch does, right? Where, you know, if the Kingdom Hearts trilogy and all the other adjacent games come to the Switch, right? I think the attach rate of the Switch is so strong that it would do really well on Switch 2, right? I really think that, number one, it's gonna have great return on investment because, look, when we do Kingdom Hearts giveaways, for instance, for Final Weapon, those are the biggest giveaway. Like, we had the biggest giveaway we've ever had when we did Kingdom Hearts, right? The Integrum Masterpiece on Steam. That did numbers. That was monumental, right? We already know, regardless of what you guys think, anybody thinks about the size of Kingdom Hearts, Kingdom Hearts, regardless of sales, has such a huge and loyal fan base. I think that the Switch platform, specifically Switch 2, because that's what it's going to be on, Switch 1 cloud version, because of, you know, the power of the console, it was not capable of running games like 0.2 and 3. And now, you know, I don't even know why they couldn't have just did, you know, 1.5.
No, I was going to say,
right.
Like, there was no excuse. There was no excuse for them to not put 1.5 and 2 plus 2.5 on the system.
It's so confusing.
Natively. No excuse.
Yeah, it's super confusing. I don't know why they did that. And, you know, I wanna just say this. Kingdom Hearts came out on the PS2, right? There are games that literally, I mean, dude, that is a console that came out, what, in 2000, right? They could have easily ported those games to the Switch 2. The Switch 1, dude. The Switch 1. They could have ported those games to the Switch 1. And that would have did so well. Right? They would have done so well. But they were like, okay, we need to do cloud versions for all of them for some very strange reason. Very strange reason. We don't know why. Right? Kingdom Hearts 3, I get it. Right? I get it. Kingdom Hearts 3.
They're lazy. They're lazy.
They are lazy.
They wanted Sora was coming to Smash. They wanted a cheap, easy way to port it over. And so they're like, yeah, we're going to put the worst versions ever released of Kingdom Hearts, so much to the point that I don't even consider the games playable on Nintendo systems on the Switch. I'm like, I honestly, with how bad the input delay and the latency and just the overall feel of the gameplay is,
yeah,
I honestly would pay someone $1 million to try to play Critical for KH2 or even fight Yozora on the Switch version.
Yeah, it's...
I feel like you'd go insane. I genuinely, I played an hour and I was beating my head against the wall and I never touched those ports again, ever.
Yeah, no, that's insane. I mean, playing Yozora on that would be a huge nightmare. I mean, it was already a nightmare to just play it because it's such a difficult boss fight. I can't imagine. Actually, that was the very first thing I thought about was like, how are people going to beat like Lingering Will or Yozora or like Cage 1 Sephiroth on this platform? Like, it's just insane to think about. I mean, obviously they can, you know, there's going to be an opportunity. There's luck, right? But I think, you know, especially with Cage 3 Remind, with the black code is what it was called in Japan, with pro codes, right? And critical mode and all these things, playing such a, bro, if you play with all 13 pro codes, say you're like playing the game on its hardest difficulty, there is no such thing as luck, right? There's no such thing as luck. You have to be 100% on every guard, on every counter, on every like combo, response, dodge, you know, timing. It all has to be perfect, right? You cannot screw that up once. It has to be perfect, right? The Switch cloud ports are so offensive to me because one, Square was like, let's charge full price for this. Full price, right? It's not cheaper than getting it on any other platform. By the way, the majority of people, I would say, I'm going to just put this out there now. I think 100%, and I really mean this, I think 100% of people that bought the Switch ports already had the PS4 ports. 100%.
95.
Okay, but I'm just saying
there were definitely. I agree with you. Like
I think a huge majority of people are already like they already have played the games. You know,
they wanted it portably. No, I agree.
100%.
But I do think that there are. You know, there is definitely. We don't know the sales numbers. We never will. I can't imagine these sold well whatsoever because
I don't
they're
even
hot
think they did like
garbage
10K,
and literal
bro,
trash.
to be honest.
No, they definitely did. They definitely
10K?
did. Yes,
Wow.
absolutely. They did more than you think they did. They just didn't sell well. But I guarantee you that there is a sizable amount of people that bought that collection thinking that they could play Kingdom Hearts for the first time. More than you think. I still think that it's overwhelmingly returning players. But it's like, man, I can't even imagine if you're a new player, you load in Kingdom Hearts 1, and you're just sitting there and you press attack, and it takes 2 seconds for the attack to reach. Like, it makes me so mad, man.
That drive me crazy, man.
I can't do it.
It would drive me crazy.
Really, with these, the Switch ports don't exist. They're terrible. They don't exist. It's not even a port. It's a cloud version. It doesn't exist. Square needs to bring these over to Switch 2. And, you know, I don't think anyone's expecting anything, oh my gosh, incredible. But all of these games should easily be able to run at 60 frames per second and run natively at 1080p. No excuses.
Yeah, no, 100%, because the Switch 2 is running Cyberpunk 2077. Again, I'm going to be reminding people of that for the rest of time, every single time I talk about a port that people think can't happen, right? It's like we're accepting 30 FPS ports and we're giving games high scores for 30 FPS ports. Makes no sense to me, right? I mean this across the board. Even if it's coming from within, I mean it across the board, right? We got to stop excusing these developers and publishers releasing these garbage ports for the Switch, right? Especially the Switch 2, which is far more powerful, right? Has the capabilities for DLSS, right? This is a huge improvement from the first Switch, right? It's capable of running Cyberpunk 2077 at an actually pretty attractive fidelity. You know what I mean? Like the graphical fidelity is attractive for that game on the Switch too. I think it's also, you know, CD Projekt Red's their expertise and it's their engine, etc. But like obviously you have people like Ryuga Gotoku with Dragon Engine, right? Who just now released Yakuza Kiwami 2, right? So it's like there are no excuses for a company as big as Square to not be able to release these ports on the Switch 2 and have them be 4K. I'm dead serious. Because the PS4 Pro, there was 4K in the PS4 Pro. That console does not have any form of deep learning super sampling, right? Like it is just a console, raw rasterization, 4K, 60 FPS, right? There's no reason
4K.
No, I think 1.5, 2.5 is native, like 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised about that, but like, you know, a lot of the games that Sony marketed as like, oh, the 4K experience on PS4 Pro, a lot of that was checkerboard 4K.
No, I know, but specifically the remix for 1.5, 2.5, that is native. I'm very sure about that. I'm very sure about that. Those are PS2 ports, right? That just really are just
Yeah,
up-res
there's no
with a little bit of
excuse.
texture, right?
There's no excuse. And on Switch 2 ports, like, I mean, yeah, you hit on Yakuza. I mean, it's just Sega. Like, Sega's had two massive ports. Like, Persona 3 Reload was so embarrassing. The frame stutter, 30 FPS lock. Sega's just not utilizing the technology available on Switch 2 with DLSS, and we're getting subpar ports because of that, and it's just ridiculous. You're giving a worse experience because you're not putting the development time and effort in to actually taking advantage of the system. But I will say on Square, we've already known Naoki Hamaguchi, director of the remake trilogy, has already confirmed that they are using DLSS for Final Fantasy VII Remake. So we already know that Square is using it on their games, and everything that I've heard about that port is just, it is immaculate. I'm so excited for January because that game is going to run incredibly on Switch 2, and it's instantly going to be one of the best ports on the system. And if Square can do that with the remake trilogy, and obviously they're bringing Rebirth and Part 3, there's no excuse, and I have the utmost faith that if the Kingdom Hearts series comes over, these ports will be fantastic. There's no excuse for it. They did a great job with the Steam release. They're going to bring them over, hopefully, if they do. And I fully believe they'll be 1080p handheld and upscaled to 4K or 1440p for Kingdom Hearts 3 on TV.
Yeah, no, I 100% on the upscaling for KH3 because I know that game wasn't even 4K on the PS4 Pro, right?
Right. And I mean, and 100%, and we could be honest too, like, the 4K is definitely nice. You know, it's great to have because I do enjoy playing my Switch, the benefit of playing on a TV or playing it in handheld. But it's like, for me, I just want that 1080p 60 handheld, and that's what I care about the most.
No, 100%. Because that's what I'm playing. That's what I got Switch 2 for. I didn't get it to put it on the dock, but I want the option just in case, But it's rare that I'm ever using the dock.
Well, I mean, even if we don't use the dock, I completely agree with you. Like 1.5 and 2.5, those are games that should easily run at 4K.
Yeah, they were native.
You can do that with very low-level graphics cards on PC.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And I made sure to confirm, by the way, it was 1.5, 2.5, and Dream Drop Distance that were running at full-blown 4K on the PS4 Pro. So there's no excuse for them to not be able to get that out natively, on the TV. That is baffling to me that I feel like this could have been happening in the background, This is a franchise that has sold millions of units, right? Millions of units. I have it tattooed on my body, right? I have many friends that have it tattooed on their body. And I know that sounds silly, but I want you to know, for me to put something on my body, it means a lot to me. Square is working on a bunch of stuff. I don't know who is actually available to make that port happen, but it needs to happen, right? Like, we just need these games to come out.
Yeah, and even if there isn't necessarily bandwidth internally at Square, I find it hard to believe that these aren't going to be easy ports, considering that everyone that's developed for Switch 2, Hamaguchi's even said that it was really easy to bring it over. Like, sure, they had to fine-tune some things with the lighting for the Switch 2 version, but beyond that, it was really easy. I can't imagine that they can't find someone internally, a small team internally to do this, and if not, Square's really been leveraging outside teams as they have for years, and I just think it would be very easy and quick to get a team to port that over. It really would not take much effort, and I think, for a series that sold 37 million copies, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely. Kingdom Hearts is a beloved franchise that people are freaking crazy about. KH4 specifically, that has to come to Switch 2, 100%. Whenever that game exists and, materializes into our world, they have to announce that for Switch 2. I don't think it should be. Yeah, I don't think it should be like a year later. I'm so tired of these delayed. I think that's just an old practice, right? GTA 6 is doing this. I'm not a fan of these staggered releases. I'm just not a fan of games coming out on one platform. I get it for Sony, right? Like, I understand the exclusivity. It's especially when they're first party, I completely understand, right? We need to sell the console with the game first before we start releasing it on PC. I get that completely. But when they're third party games, right? Back in the day, it made sense. Like, obviously, PC was not the monster that it is now. It was still a popular platform. So there are games that are selling on Steam more than they're selling on console. Certain games are performing incredibly well on Steam. And even so, like, Steam can support a game all by itself, right? So back in the day, KH3 came out on PS4 and Xbox One only, right? It took many, many, many years for us to get KH3 on PC. And even then, it was on Epic Games. I bought it because I wanted it on PC. I did not want to make that decision. I hate Epic Games. I don't hate the company. I just hate the platform, right? Then, 3 years later, I think, we got it on Steam. An insane, like the way that was staggered out. I was like, there's no way. After a couple of years, I'm like, there's no way. You know, people just gave up. They're like, I got to buy it on Epic Games. There's no way this game's coming out on Steam. It's been so long, right? So it's like, these games can come out at any time, right? I never ever count out a game from getting ported to a platform. But I do think that it is an old practice and it's a tired practice for us to have these staggered releases, especially when we have a platform as popular as the Switch 2, right? That could easily perform very well. And the game would perform very well, not just graphically, right? But also in terms of sales, right? I would love to have a lot of games on Switch 2. In fact, I could think of a lot of games that I would not only want to come to Switch 2 that are in the Square Enix, you know, just collection, right? But it's just, obviously, the Switch 2 is new, and, you know, you got to think about, when is Square going to be freed up to do something like this? And if they are, and they're already doing it, like, we need that. And I think, you know, every time Kingdom Hearts has these dry spells, right, where we don't have, you know, Kingdom Hearts 4 news, which we haven't had since the screenshots after Missing Link got canceled, right? You know, this is the opportunity to give us something to hold on to for a little bit, you know, even if it's the same exact games on a different platform every single time, right? Like when they came out on Epic Games, right? When they came out on Steam, you know, these were the opportunities they had to kind of put the game back out there into the public, to have people talk about it, right? People were talking about it when it came out on Epic. People were talking about it when it came out on Steam. This is another opportunity for people to talk about Kingdom Hearts and not only remind them, hey, you know, this is a nearly 40 million, you know, sales franchise, right? Like, this is not a small series. This is a very big series for what it is, right? For what it is, it being a, you know, action RPG game with an anime protagonist, Gajinka of Mickey Mouse, right? With Donald Duck and Goofy. And for so many adults like us to take it so seriously, Kingdom Hearts 4 just needs to come out. Because, like, you know,
I imagine if it's gonna come in the next year or two.
Yeah.
And you know, talking back, you know, a little bit ago,
yeah,
about
rewind.
your point of staggered releases and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Square's really gotten away from that. I think people need to be prepared, as I've talked about in Under the Plate. Part 3 is going to be exclusive to PS5. It just is. And there's a reason for that. And that's because Square is trying to prioritize development and get the game out as fast as possible. And adding more platforms now would just delay the game a year. So I imagine that game's going to still be PS5 at launch. It is what it is. But I expect that it's going to come to other platforms very quickly after release, like 3 months tops, maybe 6.
Yeah, I don't think they'll waste time.
So I don't either. And I think with Kingdom Hearts, right, you're 100% right. Kingdom Hearts 4, and the reason that I'm so confident that game's going to hit Switch 2, I mean, just look at what Square has been able to put out on Switch 2 this year. We got Bravely Default HD Remaster on the first day that the console launched. We've gotten Tactics, we've gotten Dragon Quest, we're getting Remake Intergrade, Dragon Quest 7 Reimagined. All these games are coming to the Switch 2. Everything that the company is releasing is coming to Switch 2. I just can't imagine that they're going to skip on Kingdom Hearts 4, a game that will sell 10 million units and will be a huge deal in the grand scheme of things whenever it releases. And I totally am in agreement that I think with the kind of state we're in terms of Kingdom Hearts and the fandom right now, it's quiet, and that's okay. Missing Link being canceled, you know, that took away from a release that could have happened and drove up conversation leading to KH4.
100%.
I still believe that Kingdom Hearts 4 is pretty far away at this point, but I do think that I 100% agree. Releasing these games on Switch would give at least 6 to 12 months of conversation for people and have something to look forward to. And I I think it's a no-brainer for Square. You put these games on the Switch, you get people talking about them, and then you get people excited for Kingdom Hearts 4. You built up a whole new audience there on the Switch too, and now everyone on all platforms has access to the entire saga, and they're ready to jump in when Kingdom Hearts 4 releases. It makes so much sense, and I definitely think it's going to happen. It's, again, I see it as a no-brainer. Now, maybe Square doesn't see it as a no-brainer, but I do believe that we will see those games, and again, ports just make so much sense. I wish that they would just announce them tomorrow. It would make everything so much better, because I just want to, oh man, let me grab my Switch and go lay in bed real quick and play a little bit of KH2. You know, it's nice to be able to do that, and sure, you can do that if you have a Steam Deck or whatnot, but with the Switch 2 available, just bring the games over, you know? Just bring them over.
I know, dude. You know, Steam Deck is cool. It's just not my platform of choice. Of course, I have a PC. You know, I could easily just get a Steam Deck and play a lot of the games I have now on that. But honestly, like Switch 2, that is the handheld of my choice. And, you know, it's a handheld of a lot of people. I mean, it's the console that a lot of people have, right? It's actually my only console. You know, I decided that I was going to get rid of my PlayStation. I never bought the Xbox Series. I literally didn't see a point. I'm like, all the Xbox games are coming to PC anyway. And I rebuy a lot of the games, and I have rebought a lot of the games that I have on Steam on the Switch too, right? I have all the Mega Man games on Steam, every single one of them. Zero, EXE, you know, the X series, the original series, which I already have on Steam, right? I have Ni no Kuni 2, which I already have on Steam. I have so many games that I bought on the Switch too, because I want to play them on the go. And I like the Joy-Cons, and I like the platform, and I like the ecosystem. Honestly, if I wasn't playing stuff like Cyberpunk in Super Ultra Ride, right, on an OLED, I'd be playing every game on the Switch too. I would. Because I much prefer being able to move to the kitchen or move to the living room. Or, you know, I'm not really the type of dude like that meme with the dude in the corner of the party that's like, yeah, I'm playing a game in the corner on the Switch too. And like all the girls are looking back at him like, ew. Like, I'm not the guy that like goes out with my Switch 2 in public and plays it. That's just not the type of guy I am. I don't ride the bus, or, you know, I don't have a train or anything like that. So I don't have like an opportunity to play it outside of work. The Switch 2 is my platform of choice. And if I could just game on one thing, it'd be the Switch 2. So again, I already own Kingdom Hearts on every single platform. I mean, I own it on PlayStation, Steam, and Epic Games, right? I had it on the PS3. I had it on the PS2. I've rebought it on tons of things, right? I had Dream Drop Distance on the 3DS. I had 358 Days. I mean, how many times have we as a community rebought these games? It's not even about, hey, everybody already has these games. Why make a remake? Why make a remaster, right? Why do this? Because they come and they buy them every single time, dude. They're gonna buy them no matter how many times we release them, right? As long, not even the PS3's loading times for Valor form and all the forms, right? They were atrocious. The dry form loading times were atrocious. I think the Switch 2 is fast enough. It's probably just gonna play like the PS4 Pro. I would even say faster. I think the Switch 2's ports of the Kingdom Hearts collection will be better than the actual games when they came out on their original platforms, especially KH3, right?
Definitely.
I mean, the Switch 2 is more powerful than the PS4 Pro. Is that a bold statement?
No, I mean, I think that's a fair statement. I do think it depends, just because you have to look at what companies are using DLSS.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you were to say, like, right now, I think we're getting games that are equivalent to PlayStation 4 Pro from like Sega.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're using DLSS and making the most of what the console has to offer and its ray tracing capabilities, absolutely. I do think it has the potential to be more powerful than a PlayStation 4 Pro and more in line with just around or under a Series S.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Yeah. I was thinking like, you know, DLSS, it's NVIDIA, it's newer architecture, you know, and if Square has some level of familiarity with the platform, then they should be able to make a superior port to the original release of KH3, right? Which was a checkerboarded resolution that I don't remember. I don't have it pulled up right now, but I know it wasn't 4K for sure.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, it's definitely irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant, but it wasn't native 4K. So I don't think they'd be able to get KH3 at native 4K.
It doesn't need it though.
It doesn't.
1440p DLSS would be completely
I'd be very,
fine.
very impressed.
I just want the game to be locked 60 That's all I care about.
Yeah.
And, you know, from there, whatever. Let it be responsive. Let me just play Kingdom Hearts on the go, you know?
It'd be so lit, dude. I'm just thinking about like, that was probably the game that I wanted to play on the go the most when I was a kid, right? Like when I got Chain of Memories, I was like, this is cool, but this is still 2D. You know, this is a sprite. I wanted to play the best action game of all time on the go, right? That was just the way I saw it. I'm like, oh my God, bro, imagine me, you know, jumping around in final form and gliding, you know, on my freaking DS. Like in my head, that was the coolest thing ever, right? So we're almost there. Y'all can say, oh my God, you know, but you could do it if you bought the cloud version. Well, we already told you that's not happening. Those are not real ports. So when it's actually running natively on the Switch too, then I will buy it. Until then, they're not getting my money. I've already spent plenty of money on all these collections. I'm not gonna lie.
Just bring him to Switch 2.
Yeah, I know.
That end of story.
End of story, bro. Like, just bring him
him
to Switch 2. Like, what am I even saying at this point? You know, what am I even saying? We already know what the point is, man. We need these games on Switch 2. Square, I'm talking to you directly. We're talking to you directly. Final Fantasy 13 trilogy, please.
Yeah,
like,
that's a topic for another
That's
time.
a whole nother video.
But thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to let us know down in the description if you want to see the Kingdom Hearts series on Switch too. And, you know, what would you know, maybe there's a Keyblade you want to see too. Who knows? But as we get, you know, more into getting closer to Kingdom Hearts 4, we'll definitely have more topics to discuss on the Lost Pages. But without that, thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you next time.